Rich Nye is in Anderson. That's where thousands of people were without power overnight, but now they've got another concern, slick conditions. Rich?
Definitely, and the wind and drifting. Right now the snow, still that very fine snow, feels more like ice pellets. In fact, it feels like I'm on the beach on a windy day and sand is hitting my face, although it's a lot colder than a day at the beach. We have been in Anderson throughout the afternoon, really since late this morning, and it has continued to snow throughout the day. And the big problem this morning, for at least a brief period of time, was a power outage. Earlier this morning, about 4,300 customers in downtown Anderson lost their power for about 2 hours. Now, that's not long enough to cause any major problems. Unfortunately, the power was restored by mid-morning.
About 7 o'clock this morning, I got up, started drinking some coffee, and I seen a bright blue flash, actually, probably about 3 or 4 blocks down the road, and I just heard a loud pop. I think the transformer probably blew. Lost power for a good 2-3 hours. It's about good 2-3 hours, man, right in the peak of all this snow and everything.
So with the weather, how much did that concern you?
It concerned me quite a bit, man, because all this snow's falling and the roads weren't even plowed yet at that time. So I was thinking it's probably going to be half the day probably before you get the power back up.
And we're at the I-69 State Road 9 exit here in Anderson. That's our goal now, is to get back to Indianapolis on Interstate 69. We'll take it slow, we'll take it careful. And when I say we, I want to pull in a little impromptu television here. I've got someone to introduce to the audience tonight here on Channel 13. Say hello to Matthew Foltz. Matthew is joining us as a new anchor and reporter. You'll see him on Channel 13 in the very near future. Today, he was my able cameraman, and I thank him for all his help from this coverage from Madison County. So, Rich Nye saying good night and headed back to Indianapolis.
All right, thank you so much. Great job to you, and we are so excited to welcome Matthew to the WTHR family. Safe journeys home. Well, meantime, the winter weather slammed Lafayette. In fact, northwest of Indianapolis, really, Lafayette was one of the very first cities to get hit by the winter storm. Dustin Grove lives there, and he's been monitoring the conditions as the snow has been moving through over the last 2 days.